Hey, it's Pops. You know how you love something and then when it gets messed up, it drives you just so insane? And so here we are. Modern comic books, huh? DC comic books. I will do a video. I was going to do a video this couple days, or Dark Knight Returns, which is probably the book that started getting me into collecting seriously. I have the largest portion of my collection has always been Batman. It's always been my favorite character. And I had heard some grumblings. I had seen the headlines and I saw the one story. And then I saw another story. And then I started to do some Googling. It was like the stuff that DC Comics is doing is so completely insane. They should be ashamed of themselves. Like it's I don't know why you have the property if this is what you're doing with it. Okay. So let me get into the stories. It's actually 3 stories that kind of paint a broader picture. The first one I'm sharing with you right now is actually dating back to 2017. There's a new story. There's a brand new comic book, Batman 111, and it's about Batman's pronouns, using pronouns, right? Well, this dates back to 2017. So this has been going on for a while. And here's the different episode talk. This is Screen Rant, and they're just loving this. Talk about woke. It's just anyway. So this is the quote from the comic book, where she says her name, Dr. Victoria October, she, her. I thought the entire point of the pronoun things was that so people would, refer to you in a healthy manner and be respectful. But if we're going to include them as though it's so widespread and so confusing, when that's not reality, like the number of trans people is so minuscule, and we start painting a reality that doesn't match that, people are just going to disconnect, and ultimately at some point they're just going to push back. You're going to take basically mythology. Comic books and characters are like modern day mythology. And you're going to take one of the biggest iconic characters and you're going to infuse it with so much social justice and woke and third wave feminism and all of this nonsense. The pushback is going to be so immense when it happens. I don't know what to say. And you deserve every bit of it. You should be fired. You should be fired for doing this. Treating the audience as they're so ignorant that Batman needs to have this in their reader. The comic books need to have that for the last 4 years, basically. So the same thing holds true for the new issue. There's just a casual reference. Let me switch to the other one of the other stories. This is the one that made all the headlines. Let's start there. Because this I didn't really want to do anything on this because it's been done. It's been done. Tim Drake is, quote, a bisexual. The headlines are misleading. It says bisexual Robin. It's not bisexual Robin. Robin has been multiple characters for decades. Obviously, Dick Grayson is the iconic, famous Robin character that grows up to become Nightwing. Tim Drake came along in the 90s, a character that came along during my prime collecting era where I had hundreds of issues. Robin was in all sorts of things. If Batman didn't cross over, Robin did. He was big in the DC universe during this time. He had a solo series. It's just crazy that Tim Drake comes along. And so the story is actually bisexual Tim Drake. And they included this as like what's called a backup story. If you're not familiar with comic books, this is the little story at the back of the book. So they'll have a comic book and it will be roughly there 15, 20, 25 pages. And in the back, you get these little sub stories. And a lot of times they're testing things out. They're breaking in new writers and artists. They'll do different things. And over the years, this has evolved and changed. So that's where they stuck this in. Well, it gets a second print. Well, first off, no one gives a rat's behind about Batman urban legends number 6. The only reason people bought all this is they're doing it as an investment. I saw Key Collector had this listed as raw at $35. Now let me tell you what. If you bought this comic book for $35, you're a fool. Sell it. Sell them. Get out of it now. It will never be worth as much money it is now. Fast forward a few months, let alone years, no one will care. Nobody. People barely care. What they care about is not the sexuality of Tim Drake. It's the fact that he's existed for 26 years, roughly 26, 25, let's say 25 years. He has had a ongoing relationship. I mean, a very serious relationship on again off his superhero life, right? With Stephanie Brown, right? So suddenly, and you'll see, here's the image that they're promoting because we had to go to a second print because Tim's going to go on the date because he's got feelings with Bernard. Bernie. Oh, cut me deep, man. Cutting me deep. I don't know if you can read this or not. It says, I'm glad you're here. I've been meaning. I wanted to say, says Bernard, wait, let me talk. I'm really glad you got home okay. I was relieved, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about that night, and he rescued him. That's what the story is here. And I don't know what it meant to me, not yet, but I'd like to figure it out. I was hoping you would, Tim Drake. You want to go on a date with me? Yeah. I would want that. To be continued. You are a bunch of homophobic bigots. The straight guy who's had a girlfriend and sexual relations for years just up and decides that now he's, quote, bi. Well, he's not really bi because in comic book land or most entertainment, if you go bi, you can't really go back. What's he supposed to do? Go out with Bernie and then go back to Stephanie? He's going to be, Tim Drake's a bigot because he doesn't like guys. It's disgusting that you think that people are picking and choosing their lifestyles like this, that you think presenting this nonsense in comic books and portraying it as it's normal it is a reflection of your dysfunction. And the people at DC Comics that are doing this should be ashamed of themselves. How this got through is beyond me. And again, I repeat, if you bought this nonsense, you paid $30 for it, you're an idiot. You need to sell every second copy you can get. Don't buy any more of this nonsense. So the story is got a couple of different folks attached to it, and I just couldn't believe it. I didn't do anything. Tons of people that are way better at YouTube than me have already covered the Tim Drake thing, but not the second print. So now it's in second print. So it's even worse. Let's cash in some more. Well, then the third wave of insanity was a headline that popped up in my searches. And it's the insanity that is what they're going to go and do to Batman's legacy through Nightwing. So this is from a new issue. This is August 17th. Nightwing. Talking about money. Alfred left me a lot, but I don't think there's anything heroic about being a billionaire. I have no idea how Nightwing talks, by the way. Nothing heroic about being a billionaire. And I'm like, what? Nightwing 83. What is Tom Taylor writing about? So I read this post. I went back to this thing. This is bleeding cool. Because they're all completely nuts. These websites I'm talking to you about, Screen Rant, Bleeding Cool, they're nothing more than the MSNBC and CNNs of the comic book world, just so you know. So this is a post being praised by how much Batman is hated, disliked. I kid you not. This is the story. Batman. This is John Green at Vlog Brothers. This is just so insane. I kind of hate Batman. Like if I were okay, first off, John. Who's John? Maybe we should look at John. I need to know. Like I don't do voices well. I mean, there's people that do voices great. I listen to. I've learned to. I'm growing on your boy Zach. And that's just like been great. Anyway, I don't want to go to that thing. It's going to play a video. I don't want to deal with that right now. I kind of hate Batman. Like if I were a billionaire, the first thing I would do would be to pledge 90% of my money to charity. 90%. 90%. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. Then I'd build my own racetrack that Sarah Fisher could drive me around. And then I would give AFC Wimbledon a bunch of money so they could build a new stadium. Well, okay. And then I'd build a huge house with lots of secret rooms that you could only access by touching certain books on a fake bookshelf. Then I would be super rich because $1 billion is a lot of money, but I'm getting slightly off topic. One thing I wouldn't do is spend a gajillion dollars developing a Batmobile that only I'm allowed to drive. You're a moron. You're a moron. Why are we listening to you? You're trying to tell me that Tom Taylor's motivation for this lecture and the embarrassment of Nightwing, that he's somehow some sort of like socialist, that Bruce Wayne is being criticized because he's Batman. There's something that has been included in every Batman sort of mythos, right? The Keaton Batman. The opening piece with Vicky Vale is that they're at a Wayne Foundation charity function, right? You know, that's that. The Wayne Foundation is brought up over and over again. That's how the money was being funneled and stuff in the Nolan trilogy. Like the Wayne Foundation, the amount of charity, philanthropy, things that they do to help Gotham City is part of Batman's cover. It's not as though he's only Batman. He's a miser with all of his money. And you're such a fraud, John Green, with your nonsense that, oh, you're going to give 90% of your money to charity, but then you're going to build a racetrack, give money to some AFC Wimbledon for a stadium, and you're going to build a huge house. Well, how are you any different than freaking Bruce Wayne, you moron? This is insane. Anyway, it goes on. He's just a rich guy for an affinity for bats who's playing out his insane fantasy of single-handedly ridding Gotham of crime. Okay, first off, affinity for bat. You have never read a book. You've never read one. I'm not even sure you've paid attention in the movies when people are waking up from their nightmares and the haunts and all the stuff that's going on that is associated with the bat. You're why are we oh geez. And the insane it is you're pretending that Gotham doesn't have this crime. The whole premise of the story. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go to this. In the Batman universe, crime is caused by, quote, number one, evil people who just want to see the world burn, Joker. Stupid people who follow the evil but charismatic, cat person / Joker / Penguin. Okay, that's completely wrong. Joker fits into the first category. Cat person and Penguin are more in it for themselves and not stupid at all, by the way. Crime is not actually caused by evil. It's caused by systemic disenfranchisement and poverty and lack of access to job opportunities and education. Okay, Tom Taylor. Bleeding Cool is saying that they're connecting this dot for you, okay? That there should be shame that Bruce Wayne's a billionaire, that Nightwing has inherited a bunch of money for him to be a crime fighter, and that it's all just systemic racism and poverty and all that. The amount of social justice that is in this is just incredible. This is the scene. Dick Grayson. Alfred called me a problem solver, Leslie, but I'm not so arrogant. I try to solve a problem this large on my own. Well, certainly I have some thoughts, Richard. Of course, I have so many ideas, he's asking to the group of Titans. Obviously, something of this scale is going to take time and we'll need to employ the right people, but the money is yours, and I'll start putting everything in motion. Thank you, Lucius. He's going to give away that money. What he's going to do with his money? Is Lucius Fox the best person to talk to? The Wayne Foundation money, $100 billion. The, ready? Anti-vigilante fascist private police force, the magistrate. Dick, I've always believed by leading by example, and you're the example you're setting here will inspire others, says Superman. You're talking about lifting people. And if you're successful, the rest of the country, the rest of the world could see what's possible. Fire them all. Fire them all. I guess Warner and AT&T have some control, but now it's with Discovery. I don't know who you are that has control. The people that are writing this, fire them. I've been reading this stuff for probably most of my life at this point. And those of us that want to buy comic books and want to enjoy comic books want to follow the character and the mythos that was created and that we've been following all along. Okay? Tim Drake has not and was not and is not gay. He's not bisexual. It's stupid. Just stop. Okay? What I'm expecting you to do is some other gimmick where you're going to tell me he went undercover so he could solve some sort of crime or track someone down. It's like treat Bernard and all this other nonsense, these subplots, like a metaphor for real life. They are not a metaphor. You're treating real life people as these caricatures. They're not. They have emotions. They have trials and tribulations, stuff in their past, and some were born a certain way and these different things. It's wrong for you to characterize Tim Drake in this way. It does harm to real people in the real world. And don't tell me you're not trying to make real world parallels when you're doing this with Nightwing. Bruce Wayne is a horrible human being for fighting crime for decades, raising up Dick Grayson to fight crime. And Dick's going to do better by creating a social justice community task force team. Absolutely appalling. You have not watched any Tom Taylor. You bought into this nonsense. You should be fired. Fired. Done. Go back. What's at the bottom of the poll in the DC universe is all these 5,000 villain characters that no one's heard of. Yeah, you need to go on those and start over again. You get demoted. You're done. You're done. DC comic books, I don't know if you were just paying people at the bottom and that's why this stuff is crap. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's cost-cutting measures. I don't know if it's just the social justice that's infused because I haven't been reading comic books every single month this whole time. But as I go further and further down the rabbit hole and I catch up to different things I don't have, this is appalling. And the direction that you're going is worse, not better. You're telling me you're more worried about pronouns and Tim Drake's sexuality and then trying to have people like Bleeding Cool and Screen Rant put bogus headlines out there like Robin is. No, Robin is not. Tim Drake is. They can't even... All of it is a muddled mess. It's a social justice dumpster fire. And you should be ashamed of yourselves. And if anyone were to hear this that mattered, I'm sure I'm saying stuff other people are saying. Fire them all. Start over. Just burn them down. Find the kid, the guy that just wants to write Batman. No social justice. No a bunch of reflect themselves in the book. We don't need to, have more... self-insertion and all the other nonsense. Just write good stories. Who these characters are. If you want to make another character or another Robin or a socialist Nightwing or whatever, then you make a new one. You start fresh. Let it stand on its own. Let's see where it goes. Because I'm telling you right now, this is garbage. And it deserves to burn on the dumpster fire that it is. Oh, see? Got my blood pressure going. DC comic books, you're ruining my favorite thing in the world. And I can't believe you've done this. And it's just, the more I see and read, the worse it just keeps getting. So that's my rant for the moment. Hopefully you enjoyed, or maybe you just like shook your head and turned it off. I don't know. But there you are.